Welcome back to the IAM Symposium, and this is the winter solstice for some and the summer solstice for others. And I'm with one of my favorite people today, Itzhak Beery. He's a leading shamanic teacher, healer, speaker, community activist, and author of 3 Amazon bestseller books. He received Ambassador for Peace Award from the Universal Peace Federation and the UN. We'll talk about, you'll get a sense of what he does and what he doesn't do. And you can read his bio on the IAM Symposium website. But let's just jump right on into this conversation, because he just got me on fire with this idea of when you have vision, there is no fear. It all makes better sense, right?
That's right. Well, hello to everybody, and thank you, Renee, for having me on your show. It's wonderful to do that every year. We as we just talked about it, we are in the middle of one of the most pivotal eras in human history. We are in a new Pachacuti or new Baktun, or in any way you want to call it. It's a new beginning of time, in a way, a revolution of consciousness, some people say, and it's about the return of the feminine energy into our social and political life. And I think that is so important. And we have to understand that a lot of the awakening that is happening all around the world, and people are having visions of a new possibility of this world, is all part of that new time, or Pachacuti, or the correction of time-space that is happening all around the world now. In the Andes tradition, which is where my teachers come from, they talk about it as a correction of time that happened after 500 years after the fall of the Inca Atahualpa, the king of the Andes, of the Inca in the Andes, which began in around 1990, 1993, that area time, and we are really just in the beginning of it. So it's kind of exciting to see what's going to happen. But I think that and that's what we talked about it earlier, that if we can hold that vision together as a new way of looking at what's happening all around us, we see that the old regime, or the old way of thinking, the eagle thinking, the masculine thinking of the West, the corporation, the government, the religion, or that is all masculine bases, they're all collapsing all around us and all around them, and they are really trying to hold on to their last gasp of their old hold on their power. And what emerges under all of it, which is really beautiful, is the counter medicine, or the heart medicine, or the feminine energy that come from South America. And you can see that now all around us, where more women are participating in the political process, in the social process, and coming out as the force that is going to probably lead us for the next 500 years. I am looking forward, and I'm terribly disappointed that I'm not going to be here in 500 years, but but my grandchildren will be there, and I hope, or their grandchildren, and then from that point of view, I'm very optimistic and very happy that all of that changes all around us in the political arena is happening. because that means that the old way of thinking is dying, and a new way um, uh, of of exchange between the two cultures are coming to be, which is what the condor and the eagle prophecy is, that the condor that represent the feminine energies of South America, and the eagle that represent the Western technology logical world. They will be dancing and or flying in the air in a dance of harmony. And I do hope that that's prophecy is coming to be, and it will change our life for our better.
And I don't even think, truthfully, we really know what that looks like in terms of, we have an old conception for me of what the feminine really is. And that's based on the masculine model.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? So we don't even know what this looks like. And the winds always tell me, well, you just opened the doorway for us, but you're not even going to see where that goes. Like you're talking about 400 or 500, 600, 1,000 years from now.
Well, you can actually start seeing it happening right now. You could see some of the feminine forces in, let's say, in the Congress, or in governments all around the world, that they continue to hold their feminine identity, but they definitely have more strength and more power to bring new dialogue in our society and community. That is what it is. So it doesn't mean that all women have to. The feminine is not just women. The feminine is the two sides in ourselves, and so it might draw more men who more in touch with their feminine energy, and it might draw more women who might be more in touch with their masculine energy. So it's a global phenomena, but it's also individual revolution, that we inside ourselves, we need to accept that men are not a creature of war and technology, but they also have a heart, and they also can raise children and love and hug and cry. And women don't need to be the person that raised the children alone and wait for their husband with their slippers outside the door. That they also could be a strong woman who can run a country. And these are all those stereotypes that for 500 years or for 2,000 years, the religion or male rules created, they are collapsing. So, and we are in the middle of it. I was just now in Sacramento, and I was talking to this group of people about these changes, and I reminded them that there is a beautiful ceremony that happened in the Brazil Amazon, in the Rio Negro area near Manaus. There are two rivers, the Rio Negro, which is a dark river, warm water with a lot of different fish, is merging. The two rivers are merging in one place. It's called the meeting of the rivers. So the cold water of the Amazon and the warm water of the Rio Negro, they are meeting in Manaus. And it is a very sacred place for the native Brazilian. And because they understand that the two cultures, the Black River culture and the Red River culture, they are all meeting in one place, but they don't merge in all at once. It takes 50 kilometers for them to merge. So the hot water and the cold water can merge, that the two colors merge, and the flowers and the plants that they bring with each other merge. So it takes time, and that's where we are now. The eagle and the condor are merging, but it will take time. It will take time for all of us to figure out how we can reconnect with the pieces that are missing. And it can't happen in one day, of course. So that's why I'm saying that we are in that middle of that wind, that we can't see because we are still in that thing. So most likely, if we were going to be here in 100 or 200 years, then a new person, a more balanced society, hopefully, will be created, and the prophecies of the South America shamans would come to be.
I find that I do a Finding Freedom LGBTQ conference in Palm Springs, and at first when I was given the job, I'm there like, well, what are we going to talk about for more than a minute? And then what I realized is that this whole move on gender is part of this fluctuating river you're talking about, where people are coming in with these new souls, these new identities that we don't even have words for yet. And so in maybe in another 20, 30, 50 years, they won't be needing gender change operations. It will just be that people are going to be more fluid with whatever that is means masculine and whatever that means feminine. But since we don't have that, it's like breaking down the doorway for some changes that are coming for us. And it's an interesting place to hold space for that, because I know when I was younger in my life, I felt way more masculine. And then I came to embrace that masculinity as part of who I was, not as one way or the other. And it's kind of an interesting dance, because we don't know what we're going to really be like in the next 100, 200 years.
I just wanted to remind you and the people who are watching that the whole concept of masculine, feminine, and or straight or gay or bi or all of those labels, it's new. It's not something that was with any of the shamanic societies, indigenous societies before maybe 100 years. And I think that we are actually returning to how shamans or shamanic society used to treat sexuality, which is the flow. And the flow is with everything. So they not either masculine or neither feminine, and there is so many different variety. And then they call it in different name, but they all treated each person as a person, not as a label, a walking label. And I think that the labels, it's part of the straight society survival too, but it's also, it came out as the gay bisexual community or the queer community. They love that labels, and I think that that's terrible, because we don't have labels. And I've seen people who were they decided they're lesbians and they fell in love with a man, and then they live with a man, or the other way around. I mean, there's so many fluidity in nature, and I think that it's very important to remember that shamanic societies all around the world never had that thing at all.
That's interesting. It's a good point, because at some point, I've said these labels are just they can really box you in. And one of the things, even when I was studying going to the Lakota Sweat Lodge up in North America, then I went down to Peru, and that lodge was way more masculine than I experienced in Peru, where people lead with their hearts. And so it was like, it really split me apart really early in my awakening, that that how come I go there and these people are so loving? They have 2 potatoes to eat and a guinea pig running on the floor, and yet they're willing to give me that guinea pig. And I mean, it was mind-boggling. And now I see a lot more open-heartedness up here, but this fracturing of our old soul is really causing some turbulence right now, and the wind is here to remind us of that. Or, you know, people say, well, it's really windy. What do you make of that? And they're like, well, it's just the sign of the times we're in, that these winds are blowing really strong, and we have to become in relationship to those changes. And it's, you know, hold on to your hats.
Absolutely. So I think that uh, what attracted me so much to South America is exactly the same thing that you were saying, that they walk with their heart and they accept you with their heart. And it is such a big difference that from the Western or the eagle way of looking at relationships. So I'm trying to bring that back, you know, like we are all bridges of that cultures, to bring it back to the people in the North, and the way you teach workshops, the way you treat your family, your community. You're teaching with your heart, not so much with your mind. And that is exactly the prophecy of the condor, of the eagle. As we experience it right now, we bringing that open-heartedness and into a society that is so labeled, so judgmental about everything. And I think that that's also part of the shamanic healing, you know, that in the shamanic healing, we don't label any kind of disease. We don't say that you are schizophrenic and then you have to keep that label for the rest of your life. You don't say that you are whatever, because we all look at it as just an imbalance with your energy field or with what's going on with you. And what we're trying to do is not trying to cure a specific disease, but bring balance to your body. So by removing the labels or the labeling, you are able to open up the energy blocks, or to have the wind flow or the river flow. Otherwise, if the river blocked, where you have a dam, that dam would always continue to be there, and the disease will never go away, because the person hold his identity. And the same thing in a gay community too. If you hold this label as your identity, don't give yourself a chance to experience the flow of life, the beauty of life. You are holding on to something that is not necessarily you. You is different. You is the soul. You're the beautiful soul that wants to merge with its life purpose. You're not that. You're not limited into that little box. I think that that's a mistake that we are trying now to break, and to have people experiencing the fluidity, the agility, the flow. I mean, like you said, the wind, the flow of the river. We are fluid.
Mm-hmm. I so agree. And, you know, and which brings me to a question of, like, I mean, you're a beautiful example of that fluidity. When I see you, I see somebody who's really a balanced masculine, feminine man. And so, you know, how do we get more men on board with the ship? Like, even, you know, I look at my podcast and, you know, 10,000 people listen to it a week, and they say it's like 80% women. Where are the men? Where are they still holding on to the banks or the pillars, or are they just still not ready to lead with their hearts?
Well, you know, it takes time. It's a revolution. And in some classes I have 50%, and some classes, yes, it's only maybe 3% of the class is men. So it's but I think that you see, I think we see a movement in that, and I think that when women or mothers will allow men to be also more sensitive, not necessarily tell them not to cry, or in school. I mean, that's really our education. This is what we need to do, and we can do that. We can do that with in ceremonies and rituals in schools. We we can do that more, bring younger people into the fold. We can, a lot of it is happening, a lot of younger generations, because of that, maybe going into the plant medicine industry. But they'll come back. And I think, I truly believe that there is a big yearning for in the masculine society for something that is truly spiritual, truly heart-opening, truly a place where they can experience the softness without judgment. And I think this is the window that we need to open for them. You know, the feminine is always were more the nurturing or the intuitive part, the moon part, the Pachamama, the mother element. So it's natural for women to be more in that. I mean, women are more developed than men in that way. And I do hope that more people will find their balance between that masculine and the feminine. And there's nothing really good about being just the masculine forces and to be afraid of the feminine. We actually see our whole government that is in the United States. They are all trying to be men, and they are all, you know, sick babies. So that's what happened when you don't have a balance between the two genders or two different energy within ourselves.
Right. And you know, we don't have a lot of time for this conversation, but I think I'm gonna have you back on my podcast so we can talk more about this, because this is all day long. We have awesome presenters coming and giving you just a little snippet of their wisdom and ceremonies. And if you're in New York, or actually Itzhak's been traveling all over the world. I'm watching him I'm getting tired sitting on my couch, seeing all the places he's running to. On our website, are you giving a gift? Is there something that if people come over and sign up on your website, they get? No, that's okay.
We can, why not?
Okay. Well,
you know, I have this beautiful booklet that is teaches people about divination or candle reading and the way to read and to diagnose different diseases. This is part of my teachings there, and I'll be very happy to send for people who are interested as a bonus.
Great. So go, if you're registered for this, go over to the IAM Symposium.com and register, because the gift page is for people who have registered. You can listen to these all day long, but if you want the gifts, you have to register. And any last thoughts you'd like to leave? How about leave these men with a thought about joining us in our circles next year? How is that for a nice new vision?
Well, absolutely. I call all men to go there and experience that. There's no shame in that. There's no, on the contrary, you know, many of the shamans in the South Americans are men. There is a revolution now to call in women into that circle again. So the world is upside down, you see.
Right.
So more men have this ability to heal, to touch, to love, and I call people to do that. And I think that one of the things that I maybe want to say is that we have the right hand, which is the right hand of the masculine energy, and then we have the left hand, which is the hand of the heart, right, the feminine energy. And we do namaste, or we do all of that prayer where we bring the masculine and the feminine together. And so we cannot pray without being the two of us together, the masculine and the feminine together. And that's where people say namaste. So when next time when you do namaste, think about that. Or when you pray, when you put the two hands together, that is where the masculine and the feminine energies are meeting together to create oneness. And we cannot have a balanced society without oneness of the two.
Mm. Well, I would like to say, let's end this with this. We all bring our feminine and our masculine together, and namaste.
Namaste. And in many different traditions, it's different. You know, it could be Shungo, and then it could be Anu, and it could be Aho, and it could be also Namaste. But the ancient understood that in order to be healthy and to be in balance, you have to be in balance. The masculine and the feminine have to be together.
Thank you. And just give people your website too, if they want to know more about your work and your ventures and keep up with you.
I don't know if you can keep up with me, but
they can't keep up. I can't. I'm just telling you right now, you can't keep up with him. But he takes a wonderful group in the summer. You know, he's been doing these healing circles in the Brazil. No, not Brazil.
Well, I have two programs that I do in Ecuador, and that's the Andes Summit, which is June 15 to June 23rd, which is about the summer solstice there. Sorry, the winter solstice there, and and then actually very soon on December 27 to January 2nd, we have a Yaku Raimi, which is a celebration of water in Ecuador on a secluded beach, where we're going to do plant medicine and other visionary technique to set up vision for the new year. And then I take groups to the jungle of Ecuador to work with the sequoia, and I work with people, bring people to the Yucatan. So there's a lot of things that are happening, and you can just look at my website, which is justmyname.com.
Great, and that will all be in your email and stuff like that. So thank you very much for spending time with us today with your busy schedule.
Thank you.